children, except one, grow up. They soon know that they will grow up, and the way Wendy knew was this. One day when she was 2 years old, she was playing in a garden, and she plucked another flower and ran with it to her mother. I suppose she must have looked rather delightful, for Mrs. Darling put her hand to her heart and cried, "Oh, why can't you remain like this forever?" That was all that passed between the two on the subject. But henceforth, Wendy knew that she must grow up. You always know after you're 2. 2 is the beginning of the end.
Peter Pan
by James Barrie. Da-da-da-da.
I won't go to bed. I won't.
He had shouted like one who still believed he had the last word on the subject.
It isn't 6 o'clock yet. 2 minutes more. I won't be bathed. I tell you, I will not be bathed.
Then Mrs. Darling had come in wearing her white evening gown. She had found her 2 older children playing herself and father.
We're doing that. We're playing at being you and father. A little less noise there.
Now let us pretend to have a baby.
I'm happy to inform you, Mrs. Darling, that you are now a mother. You've missed the chief thing. You haven't asked boy or girl.
I'm so glad to have one at all, I don't care which it is.
That's just the difference between gentlemen and ladies. Now you tell me.
I am happy to acquaint you, Mr. Darling. You are now a father.
Boy or girl?
Girl.
Oh, right.
You're horrid.
Go on.
I am happy to acquaint you, Mr. Darling. You are again a father.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
Oh.
Mommy, it's hateful of him.
Now, John, have me.
We don't want any more.
Am I not to be born at all?
2 is enough.
Oh, come, John. Bye, John.
Michael had nearly cried.
Nobody wants me.
And of course, Mrs. Darling could not stand for that.
I do. Mr. Darling rushed in like a tornado.
There you are, Mary.
What is the matter, George, dear?
Matter?
He yelled.
He really yelled.
This tie. It'll not tie. Not round my neck. Round the bedpost, oh yes.
Say it again, Father. Say it again.
A little less noise there.
Let me try, dear. He thought Mrs. Darling was not sufficiently impressed and went on sternly.
I warn you, Mary, that unless this tie is round my neck, we don't go out to dinner tonight. And if I don't go out to dinner, I never go to the office. And if I don't go to the office, you and I starve. And our children will be thrown out into the streets.
Ta-da! George, my dear, when I came into this room tonight, I saw a face at the window.
Face at the window? 3 floors up.
It was the face of a little boy. He was trying to get in. George, this is not the first time I've seen that boy. About a week ago, I was in here dozing by the fire when I felt a draft, as if the window were open. I looked around and I saw that boy in the room.
In the room?
I screamed and the boy leapt for the window. I went to grab him, but it was too late.
I thought so.
The boy escaped, but his shadow had not time to get out. George, what can all this mean?
What indeed?
A nameless fear flushed at her heart and made her cry. Oh, how I wish I was not going out to dinner tonight. Mrs. Darling put the children to bed in unwanted silence and lit their night lights. Even Michael,
Already half asleep.
knew that she was perturbed, and so he asked.
Can anything harm us, Mother, after the nightlights are lit?
Nothing, precious, she said. They are the eyes a mother leaves behind to guard her children. Dear stars in the sky that protect my sleeping babes, burn clear and steadfast tonight. Stars are beautiful, but they may not take an active part in anything.
It is a punishment put on them for something they did so long ago that no star now knows what it is.
The stars are not really friendly to Peter,
Who has a mischievous way of stealing up behind them and trying to blow them out.
but they are so fond of fun that they were on his side tonight. So as soon as Mr. and Mrs. Darling left for the evening, the smallest of the stars in the Milky Way screamed out, "Now, Peter!"
Tink, are you there? Ding-a-ling. Oh, do come out of that jug. Ding-a-ling. Do you know where they put it? Ding-a-ling. Which box?
Peter was searching for his shadow.
Tink said the shadow was in a big box.
She meant the chest of drawers.
In a moment, he had recovered his shadow, and he thought,
If he thought at all,
that he and his shadow, when brought near each other, would join like drops of water.
and when they did not, he was appalled.
Boy, why are you crying?
She said courteously. What is your name?
Wendy Moira Angela Darling. What's yours?
Peter Pan.
Is that all?
Yes.
He said sharply. She asked where he lived.
second to the right, then straight on till morning.
What a funny address.
No, it isn't.
I mean, is that what they put on the letters?
Don't get any letters.
But your mother gets letters.
Don't have a mother.
Oh, Peter!
She got out of bed and ran to him.
You mustn't touch me.
Why?
No one must ever touch me.
Why?
Don't know.
No wonder you were crying.
I wasn't crying, but I can't get my shadow to stick on.
It has come off. How awful. Peter, you have been trying to stick it on with soap.
Well then,
Fortunately, she knew what to do.
It must be sewn.
what is sewn?
You are dreadfully ignorant.
No, I'm not.
I will sew it on for you, my little man. Sit here. I dare say it will hurt a little.
I shan't cry.
He clenched his teeth, and he did not cry. And soon his shadow was behaving properly, though still a little crease.
It isn't quite itself yet.
Perhaps I should have ironed it.
Oh, Wendy, look, oh, the cleverness of me!
You can see. Of course I did nothing.
You did a little.
A little? If I am no use, I can at least withdraw.
And she sprang, in the most dignified way, into bed.
Oh, Wendy, don't withdraw. I can't help crowing when I'm pleased with myself. Wendy.
He continued in a voice that no woman has ever been able to resist.
One girl is worth more than 20 boys.
You really think so, Peter?
Yes, I do.
I think it's perfectly sweet of you. And I shall give you a kiss if you like.
Thank you.
Don't you know what a kiss is?
I shall know when you give it to me. Now shall I give you a kiss?
If you please.
She made herself rather cheap by inclining her face toward him.
I'll wear it on this chain round my neck. Peter, how old are you?
Quite young, Wendy. You see, I ran away the day I was born.
Ran away? Why?
Because I heard Mother and Father talking of what I was to be when I became a man. I want to always be a little boy and have fun. So I ran away to Kensington Gardens and I lived a long time among the fairies.
Wendy gave him a look of the most intense admiration.
You know fairies, Peter?
Oh, yes, but they're nearly all dead now. You see, Wendy, when the first baby laughed for the first time, the laugh broke into 1,000 pieces and they all went skipping about. That was the beginning of the fairies. And now when every newborn baby laughs for the first time, that laugh becomes a fairy. So there ought to be one fairy for every boy or girl.
Ought to be, isn't there?
Oh no, children know such a lot now. Soon they don't believe in fairies. And every time a child says, I don't believe in fairies, there's a fairy somewhere that falls down dead.
Poor thing.
Wendy piled him with more questions.
Where do you live now?
With the lost boys.
Who are they?
They're all the children that fall out of their carriages when the nurse is looking the other way. If they're not claimed in 7 days, they are sent far away to Neverland. I'm captain.
What fun it must be. Peter, you may give me a kiss.
I thought you'd want it back.
Oh dear, I didn't mean a kiss, Peter. I meant a thimble.
What's that?
It's like this.
What is it?
It's exactly as if someone were pulling my hair.
Oh, that must have been Tink. I never knew her to be so naughty before.
And indeed, Tink was darting about, using offensive language.
Oh, a fairy, what does she say?
She says she'll do that every time I give you a thimble.
But why?
Why, Tink? She called you a silly fool.
She is very impertinent. Peter, why did you come to our nursery window?
Your mother was telling you such a lovely story.
Which story was it?
The one about the prince. He couldn't find the lady who wore the glass slipper.
That was Cinderella. Peter, he found her and they lived happily ever after.
Oh, I'm glad.
Peter was so glad that he rose from the floor and hurried to the window.
Where are you going?
To tell the other boys.
Don't go, Peter. I know lots of stories. Stories I could tell to the boys.
Those were her precise words.
There can be no denying that it was she who first tempted him.
Come on, we'll fly.
Fly? You can fly?
Whitney, come with me.
Oh, dear, I mustn't. Think of Mother. Besides, I can't fly.
I'll teach you to jump on the wind's back, and then away we go. Wendy, when you are sleeping in your silly bed, you might be flying around with me, saying funny things to the stars.
Would you teach John and Michael to fly too?
If you like.
John, wake up. There's a boy here to teach us to fly.
Is there? Then I shall get up.
Michael, open your eyes. This boy is to teach us to fly.
I say, can you really fly?
Look!
Oh, how sweet.
I'm sweet, oh, I am sweet!
How do you do it?
You just think of happy thoughts and they lift you up into the air.
You're so nippy at it. Couldn't you do it very slowly once?
Oh, I must blow fairy dust on you first.
And Michael.
And Wendy. Second to the right and straight on till morning. That, Peter told Wendy, is the way to Neverland. If you close your eyes, you can see a pool of lovely pale colors. And if you squeeze them tighter, the pool will take on different shapes, and the colors will become brighter.
So bright that in a moment they will go on fire.
And in that moment, just before they do, you will see Neverland. An island on whose shores children are forever at play.
Has Peter come back yet, Curly?
No, Toodles, no. I wish he would come back.
I am always afraid of the pirates when Peter's not here to protect us.
I'm not afraid of the pirates. Nothing frightens me.
Into a pirating we go. And if we're parted by a shot, we're sure to meet below.
Captain, let go! 'Twas one of those boys you hate. I could have shot him dead.
Not now, Shmi.
Now for the first time we hear the voice of Hook.
It was a black voice.
He is only one, and I want to misship all of them. Scatter and look for them.
Yep, Captain.
Most of all.
He was saying passionately.
I want their captain, Peter Pan.
Captain!
No! Peter Pan. Was he cut off my arm and flung it into a crocodile's mouth?
I have often noticed your strange dread of crocodiles.
Not a crocodile,
Corrected him.
but of that one crocodile.
He lowered his voice.
The brute liked my arm so much, Smee, that he has followed me ever since. From land to land, from sea to sea, licking his lips for the rest of me.
He sat down on a large mushroom, and now there was a quiver in his voice.
Smee, that brute have got me before now, but by a lucky chance he swallowed a clock, and it goes tick, 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 tick inside him. So before he can reach me, I hear the tick and bolt.
Oh, someday that clock will run down and he'll get you.
Aye, that is the fear that haunts me.
Ironically, while he spoke of the deadly creature, a sound broke in and stilled them.
It was at first such a tiny sound that a leaf might have fallen on it and smothered it.
But as it came near, it grew more distinct.
The crocodile!
He gasped and bounded away, followed by his crew. Once more, the boys emerged into the open.
Curly, did you see the pirates?
No, but I see a wonderfuler thing. High over the lagoon, I see the loveliest great white bird. It is flying this way.
What kind of bird do you think?
I don't know, but it seems so weary. As it flies, it cries, "Poor Wendy."
I remember now. There are birds called Wendy's. There's Tink.
The jealous fairy had now cast off all disguise of friendship and was darting at her victim from every direction.
Tink is trying to hurt the Wendy. Hi, Tink. She says Peter wants us to shoot the Wendy.
We should do what Peter wants, cried the simple boy.
Out of the way, Tink!
He shouted,
And then he fired.
And Wendy fluttered to the ground with an arrow in her breast.
"This is no bird. I think it must be a lady." It was at this tragic moment that they heard a sound which made the heart of everyone rise to his mouth.
They heard Peter crow.
Greetings, boys. I've brought at last a mother for us all. She flew this way. Have you not seen her?
Oh, mournful day.
Peter, I will show her to you.
No! No!
Stand back and let Peter see.
Wendy. With an arrow in her heart.
And after he looked for a while, he did not know what to do next.
Wendy is dead.
I thought only flowers die.
Whose arrow?
Mine, Peter.
Dastard hand.
Strike, Peter. Strike true.
I cannot strike. There's something stays my hand.
See, the Windy Lady! See her arm! The Windy Lady lives!
She lives? See this arrow struck against this. It is a kiss I gave her. It has saved her life. Oh, Wendy, get better and I'll take you to the mermaids. She's awfully anxious to see the mermaids.
Let us carry her down to the house.
No. Let us build a house around her.
Woohoo!
Bring the best of what we have. Got our house. Be sharp.
They scurried this way and that, down for bedding, up for firewood. And while they were at it, who should appear but John and Michael?
It is true, we did fly. And here's Peter. Peter, is this the place?
Yes. Curly, see to it these boys help in the building of the house.
Build a house?
For the Wendy.
For Wendy? Why, she's only a girl.
That is why we are her servants.
Are you Wendy's servant?
Yes, and you also.
Peter decided that the house wasn't finished until it had a roof. So he snatched the hat off John's head, knocked out the top, and put the hat on the roof. Now the house was complete.
I think it is finished. All look your best.
Peter warned them.
The first impression is awfully important.
Where am I?
Wendy, lady, for you, we built this house.
Oh, say you are pleased.
Lovely, darling house.
Then all of the boys got down on their knees and holding out their arms cried,
Wendy, be our mother. Autumn, it's frightfully fascinating.
but you see, I'm only a little girl. I have no real experience.
That doesn't matter. What we need is a nice motherly person.
Oh dear, I feel that is just exactly what I am.
It is, we saw it at once.
Very well then, come inside. Before I put you to bed, I have just time to finish the story of Cinderella. There wasn't much room for them, but you can squeeze really tight in Neverland.
And that was the first of many joyous evenings that they had with Wendy.
So Cinderella married the prince, and they lived happily ever after. The end. Exciting adventures happened every day on the island because it was so tiny. The children often spent long summer days in the lagoon,
Burying Curly in the sand.
And building sandcastles on the beach.
And so forth.
But like any mother, Wendy soon felt the pressures of looking after little boys and yearned to be a child again.
Twinkle,
Sighed Wendy, when for the 20th time she had told them they were not all to speak at once.
Is your mug empty, Toodles?
Not quite empty, thank you.
Mommy, he hasn't even begun to drink his milk yet.
Yes, John.
May I sit in Peter's chair as he's not here?
In your father's chair? Certainly not.
Why, he's not really our father. He didn't even know how to be a father until I showed him.
I complain of John.
Toodles is hopping on the table.
I complain of Curly. He's a tattletale.
I complain of Toodles.
Wendy, I'm too big for this cradle.
But you are the littlest, and a cradle is such a nice, homely thing to have about a little house. Oh dear, I am sometimes sure I think children are more trouble than they are worth.
Children, I hear your father's step. He likes you to meet him at the door.
Peter had brought nuts and candy for the boys.
You just spoil them, you know.
Wendy looked at Peter and noticed that he was looking at her uncomfortably.
What is wrong, Peter?
It is only pretend, isn't it, that I am their father?
Oh, yes, but they are ours, Peter. Yours and mine.
She replied, and she distinctly heard his sigh of relief.
You are so puzzling. And Tinkerbell is just the same. There's something she says she wants to be to me, but she says it's not my mother.
No, indeed it isn't. The boys had gotten into bed for Wendy's story.
The story they love best.
The story Peter hated.
Well, there was once a gentleman. I wish he had been a lady.
I wish he had been a white rat. Quite. There was a lady also.
The gentleman's name was Mr. Darling, and the lady's name was Mrs. Darling.
I knew them.
John said to annoy the others.
I think I knew them.
Well, they were married, you know. And what do you think they had?
White rats?
No, they had 3 descendants. But Mr. Darling, wasn't Mrs. Darling, wanted to go out for dinner. So they left their children all alone. So the children flew out the window to Neverland, where the lost boys are.
Oh, Wendy, was one of the boys called Toodles?
Yes, he was.
I am in a story. Curly, I am in a story!
Less noise there.
Now I want you to consider the feelings of the unhappy parents. With all their children flown away, think of the empty beds.
It is awfully sad.
But our heroine knew that her mother's love was eternal. She knew her mother would always leave the window open for her children to fly back by. So they stayed for years and had a lovely time.
So great indeed was their faith in a mother's love. But there was one there who knew better.
And when Wendy finished, he uttered a hollow groan.
What is it, Peter?
She cried, running to him, thinking he was ill.
It isn't that kind of pain. Wendy, you are wrong about mothers.
They all sat up in a fright.
So alarming was his agitation.
I thought like you about about the window. So I stayed away for moons and moons. And when I came back, the window was barred. For my mother had forgotten all about me. And there was another little boy sleeping in my bed.
Wendy, let us go back.
Are you sure mothers are like that?
Yes.
John, Michael. Wendy, you are not to leave us. I must. Not tonight. I won't.
The horrible thought had come to her.
Perhaps Mother is in half mourning by this time. Peter, will you make the necessary arrangements?
If you like, I can have Tink show you across the sea.
The boys were gazing very forlornly at Wendy. By this time, they felt dejected,
Not merely because they were about to lose her.
but also because she was going someplace nice to which they had not been invited, crediting them with a noble feeling.
Wendy melted.
Dear ones, if you'll come with me, I feel almost sure I can get Mother and Father to adopt you.
Peter, may we go? Oh, all right.
Get your clothes too, Peter.
I'm not going with you, Wendy.
Yes, Peter.
No.
And so the others needed to be told.
Peter isn't coming.
Peter not coming?
Why, Peter?
The awful cynicism of this made an uncomfortable impression, and most of them began to look rather doubtful.
Now then, no fuss, no blubbering. I hope you will all like your mothers. Are you ready, Tink? Then lead the way.
You will remember about changing your flannels, won't you, Peter?
Oh, all right.
And this is your medicine.
I won't forget.
Peter, what are you to me?
Your son, Wendy.
An
Oh,
awkward
Peter.
pause followed.
Peter, however, was not the kind that breaks down before people.
Goodbye, Peter. All of the boys were plucked from their journey in a ruthless manner, tied up, and sent to their doom. Unaware of the tragedy being enacted below, Peter decided not to take his medicine and rather lay down on the bed. Hook arose from hiding and added 5 drops of a dreadful drug, blended by himself, into Peter's medicine.
What is it? Wendy and the boys captured by pirates? I'll rescue her, I'll rescue her! Oh, that's just my medicine. Poisoned? Who could have poisoned it? Tink, what are you doing? Tink, why you've drunk all my medicine? It was poisoned and you drank it to save my life? Oh, Tink, dear Tink, are you dying? Your voice is growing so low I can scarcely hear what you're saying. She says she thinks she can get well again if children believe in fairies. Do you believe in fairies? If you believe in fairies, clap your hands! Winnie needs you, Tink needs you, the boys need you! Thank you, thank you, thank you! And now to go rescue Winnie and the boys!
It is night in Neverland, not far from the Mermaid's Lagoon. One green light squinting over Kids Creek, which is near the mouth of the Pirate River, marks where the ship, the Jolly Roger, lies at anchor.
Now is the hour when children are in their beds, their lips brightly browned with a goodnight chocolate, and their tongues drowsily searching for belated crumbs housed insecurely inside their shining cheeks. Compare them with the children about to walk the plank tonight. All the prisoners tied up so they can't fly away.
Aye, aye, Captain.
So, my beauty, you are to see your children walk the plank tonight.
Are they to die? Asked Wendy.
With such a look of frightful contempt that Hook nearly fainted.
They are. Prepare all for a mother's last words to her children.
These are my last words.
That's enough. Get the plank ready.
Hook approached Wendy, but he never reached her.
He never heard the cry of anguish he hoped to wring from her.
He heard something else instead.
It was the terrible tick of the crocodile.
It is gone, Captain. There's no sound.
Do you boys want to touch the cat before you walk the plank? Fetch the cat, Smee. It is in the cabin.
Smee strode into the cabin, and a dreadful screech wailed throughout the ship. This sound was followed by the sound of a familiar crow.
Which was well understood by the boys, but to the pirates, it was almost more eerie than the screech.
What was that? What is the matter with Smee?
The matter with him is he is dead. Stab! The cabin's black as a bit, but there's something terrible in there. The thing you heard a crowing.
Starkey, go out and fetch me out that doodle-doo.
No, Captain, no!
Starkey, did you say you would go?
Starkey went, flinging up his arms despairingly, and then gave a death and again it broke.
Now who's to fetch me out that doodle-doo?
With no one left to search out the doodle-doo, Hook grabbed Wendy, ready to throw her overboard.
It's none can save you now, Missy.
There's one!
Who's that?
Peter Pan the Avenger. Boys, this man is mine!
The two enemies looked at each other for a long time.
Hook shuddering slightly.
And Peter with a strange smile on his face.
So, Pan, this is all your doing.
Hook, this is all my doing.
Proud and insolent youth, prepare to meet thy doom.
Dark and sinister man, have at thee!
Without any words, they began to fight. For a while, there was no advantage to either blade. Hook saw Peter slowly advancing upon him, and he sprang onto the flames to cast Wendy into the sea. What he did not know was that the crocodile was there waiting for him.
Now, Peter, now!
Finally, Peter had a chance to defeat Hook. And the crocodile's tick was no more. Unaware of the events going on in Neverland, Mrs. Darling was in the nursery awaiting George's return home.
A very sad-eyed woman.
So often I see them in my dreams that I seem still to see them when I am awake. I'll not look again. So often their silver voices call me. My little children, whom I'll see no more. Mother, that is Wendy.
She said, but still she was sure it was the dream.
Mother.
Now John.
Mother.
Now Michael. And when they call me, I stretch out my arms to them. But they never come. They never come.
Mother.
Oh, children! My children!
It could not have been a lovelier sight. But there was none to see it except a strange boy who was peering in at the window. He saw the one joy from which he must forever be barred.
Mother, these are the lost boys, and they need a mother so badly. Can they stay with us, please? Of course.
Mrs. Darling was too happy to refuse the request of the children she missed so dearly.
Peter!
Hello, Wendy.
Oh, Peter, have you changed your mind? Have you decided to stay with us? Peter, let me adopt you too.
Would you send me to school?
Yes.
I don't want to go to school and learn solemn things. No one's gonna catch me and make me a man. Oh, Wendy's mother, if I should wake up and feel a beard.
Peter, said Wendy to comfort him.
I should love you in a beard.
And Mrs. Darling stretched out her arms to him.
Back off, lady.
Peter, where do you live?
In the house we built for Wendy. The fairies are to put it high among the treetops where they sleep at night.
How lovely.
Cried Wendy, so lovingly that Mrs. Darling became frightened.
I thought all the fairies were dead. Indeed, no. You will be lonely in the evenings, Peter.
I shall have Tink.
Mother, may I go? Certainly not. I have you home again, and I mean to keep you. But he does need a mother. So do you, my love. But Peter, I will let her go to you once a year for a week to do your spring cleaning. Good night, Peter.
Good night, Wendy.
That was the last time I ever saw Peter. Years came and went without bringing the careless boy. I tried, for Peter's sake, not to have growing pains, but you see, all children,
Except for Peter.
grow up.
Mary Spofford, Curly, chorus, freshman.
Nick Harlocker, John, chorus, junior.
Emily Miller, Tinkerbell, Smee, chorus, senior.
Andrea O'Brien, Wendy, chorus, sophomore.
Nicole Johnson, Mrs. Darlings, Starkey, chorus, senior.
Aaron Kaler, narrator, senior.
Eric Meredith, Mr. Darling, Hook, chorus, junior.
David Montgomery, Michael, chorus, junior.
Holly Steinhausen, Peter Pan,